favorite subjects, at least it's one of mine. And yes, let's talk about sex, baby. So we'll start with the subject matter within the realm of the escort world, and then we'll move on to the entire universe, okay? Because in my humble opinion, a lot of things that happen in the world is around sex. A lot of decisions are being made because of sex, whether they're good or bad decisions. A lot of reputations are spoiled or soiled because of sex. So it's going to be a doozy. Anyways, so within the realm of the escort world, let me just start with myself. So obviously, sex is very important to me, and I love it. Who doesn't? I guess there's a small minority of people that don't, but I do love sex. I enjoy sex, and it's one of the reasons why I stuck in this business for so long. Of course, if you don't like cars, don't work in the car business, right? If you don't like computers, don't get a job as a computer programmer or IT or whatever. And the same thing applies. So obviously, I love sex. I've never felt worse after I've had sex than before I had it. So just like the gym, always feel better after a workout. The same thing with sex. You always feel better after sex, whether it's awesome sex or mediocre sex or even lousy sex, right? You just always feel better. At least I do. So that being said, in the escort world, I tried to make sure that everyone I hired to work with enjoyed sex. And I used to tell the escorts when I was going through the interview process, and even before that, even with my ads, we'll start with my ads, right? My HR ads. I would I'll put on there, you must love intimacy with men, right? So that's one of the most important prerequisites because you don't want to do anything that you don't enjoy, at least not in this world. So I made sure that everyone that I've hired from Las Vegas to Orange County and back, that they enjoyed sex. And for the most part, I would say around, I don't know the exact percentage, of course, I'm guessing, but it's over 90% that truly, truly, truly loved sex. And I think I would categorize them into three different categories, right? We got 10 infos that completely loved sex, and they would have it anywhere, anytime, any place, almost with anybody. Okay, and they just horn dogs. Uh, the second category would be they loved sex, but it did not take over their life, right? And they did not think about it constantly. They loved it and they wanted to have it, but it wasn't consuming their entire world. And the third category which is very, very minimal, and when I worked in the escort world, was women that enjoyed sex, but they could take it or leave it. It wasn't that important to them, and then, like I said, that was very, very a very small percentage. Of course, they enjoyed it with their boyfriend. They would tell me that, but then I realized that they really, and the clients would tell me, like, she's just not really that into it. It wasn't just one client, so I could tell after a while that this person did not really care one or the other. It was just for money, right? So that's as far as the escorts, right? And now the clients is a different story. I've had clients where they were nymphos, same like the escorts, and they had to have it every day. And I had the clients that were straight sex addicts that would come every day, sometimes twice a day. I had clients that would come 5 days a week or whatever, whenever we were open. And sometimes they would see more than one escort. I have this in one of my books and in the movie. It's going to be a scene where one of my clients wanted to see as many as he can in one day, but he didn't do it every day, of course, because he's a busy guy. But he did it at least once a month, where he'd come and he'd want to see and you know fuck 6 escorts or 7 escorts in one day. And he was not a younger man, so yeah. So that's the category. The other category is men that was really denied sex at a younger age or through their significant other or their wife or their girlfriend, and they had to have it at least once a month or once every 2 months. And I had those guys that just really, I mean, they really have to unload. And we all know how that is if you have all that stuff backed up, and sometimes you can't even think straight. It backs up into your brain or something. It's not scientific. I'm just saying psychologically, right? So I had those guys. And that's pretty much it for the escort clients, because they come into us for the service. So obviously they had a need to unload. I had a small percentage, a very small percentage, that had ED and they just wanted to hang out. And those were the ones that are best for exclusive arrangements or sugar daddy material. They just wanted companionship. They were a lot older, and they really didn't. I mean, they would, do some oral on the escort, or suck on her titties or whatever, but they did not really engage more than just basic stuff, and they just wanted companionship for the most part. It was just very lonely. That's about it for as far as the escort world and sex. Of course, I get asked all the time, did the girls enjoy it? Did they really like it or like doing it with the clients? Like I said, some did, some didn't. Some did, depending on the client. They enjoyed it with some clients. They did not enjoy it with others. There's also a lot to be said about chemistry, even as you know from our own life, own personal life, that chemistry is very important. So that has a lot to do with it. And, just the way people communicate, and somebody's energy, if they have a good energy, and they project that outwards towards the escort. So there's a lot of factors involved, a lot of variables, of course. But for the most part, the ones I worked with, especially in my recent memory in Orange County, for the most part, they all loved it. And some of them I would talk to them after the day was over or after their particular appointment. And they would tell me, they would say, you know what? He's a really good looking guy. And he got me off a few times. And they would be surprised, right? Because they didn't expect that from that kind of situation with a client. It's not like a boyfriend or somebody they, date or whatever. They're really interested in. So it's business. So it does get complicated psychologically, to be honest with you, as far as like the sexual satisfaction when you are doing it as a job. Like everything else. I'll give you an example. If you like to take cruises, and you're on a cruise, you're enjoying yourself, you're on vacation, you're on there for 3-4 days a week, whatever, right? You're going to enjoy yourself, you're going to have a great time. Now, if we flip the script on that and go, okay, now the same person that enjoyed themselves so much on a cruise, they say, man, this is so much fun. I would love to get a job here. And whatever they did, whether they were cooking or waiting on tables or whatever the case may be. And once they get the job on the cruise, even though it's the same cruise, the same destination, the same fun inside the cruise, as far as amenities and stuff like this, what happens is they begin not really enjoying or having the same joy they had when they booked a cruise as a tourist versus someone that works on the yacht, right? I get that too when, give you another example, when I lived in Hawaii, there would be a lot of people coming to visit Hawaii, right? And I was one of them. I said, oh man, it'll be great to live here. Because every time I went down there, it was just, weather is awesome, the beach is awesome, totally my vibe, totally my style, right? And I got there, and I still enjoyed it myself because the job I had, which was in the show that I executive produced, it was a fun thing for me. I didn't even feel like I was working. So it was all fun. And I was very, very healthy. The sun is out. It's just a great positive environment for myself. So that really worked for me. But I saw a lot of people that came out to Hawaii as a visitor, as a tourist. And what would happen is within a month, the honeymoon is over. Now, because they got to work, they're not just there on vacation to have fun. Now the whole script changes, right? Because the whole psychological mindset is different. Now they're there because they live there, and now they have to work like everywhere else. So it changes. It changes. And the same thing with sex and working as an escort. I've had a lot of conversations with different escorts I worked with, and one of the common denominator was that uh, they start looking at sex differently, right? As much as they enjoyed it, as much as loved it, now when there is a job and money involved, it switches things, it changes things, right? And that's understandable because now the act of sex is connected to a job, it's connected to money, and that changes everything. So very, very few, I would say, that I've worked with that it did not change them as far as how they felt about sex after they started working as an escort. So there's definitely a lot of variables involved when someone does provide sex for a living. And I don't know if everybody knows, but I did do it on my own also. And when I was in Vegas, I wanted to try it myself. And I did it for a month. And it's not the same as having sex when you want to, with the partner you want to, for sure. There's definitely that job element, that psychological element of doing a job for money that does affect how you feel about having sex, even as much as you love it. Now, like I said, some people just, it's perfect for them and they loved it, and they could care less, and they would do it for free. And I had a lot of those women that actually said that to me. I would just do it for anything, for nothing. So they were in heaven because they were doing something they loved and they were getting paid good money for it. So now I would like to transition into sex in the universe, right? As a whole, outside the realm of escorting. I don't think it's any different as far as the categories I mentioned between the escorts and the clients that, and this is only my opinion, and you know what they say about opinions, right? Um, for some people, it's a must-have. For some people, they get it when they can, and for some people, they could take it or leave it, and some people, they don't really care about it at all. At least from my experience. There is definitely an energy that's attached and a frequency attached to having sex, and when someone orgasms, and I've read a lot of books about the energy that's exerted when someone ejaculates or orgasms, and where does that energy goes, and the flow of energy, and from person to person, and all that stuff. We won't get into all this crazy stuff, but there's definitely something about energy, and chemistry is real, right? At least I believe that. I've had, of course, a lot of experiences throughout my life at this age, and I have to tell you, I can only remember once, maybe twice, but definitely one time that the chemistry is out of this world. Like you cannot, as soon as I was within feet or even talking on the phone with that person, I definitely felt that strong connection, a strong urge for sexual intercourse. So there's definitely something to be said about chemistry, right? And of course, that comes in different levels. You know, sometimes you have chemistry with someone, you meet somebody at the bar or whatever, and you're talking and you're feeling each other and you're vibing and everything. And, you know, the sex is okay. It's not out of this world, but it's good. And then there's that special connection where it doesn't come that often. Like, I consider myself lucky to have it once. And I'm very, very experienced, right? So that's when you're really, for me, sex is only enjoyable when I connect with the person on a mental, emotional, psychological, and of course, physical level, right? So the way I always describe it is when you're firing on all cylinders, right? You're a 12-cylinder car or jet engine, and this is what gets the engine going. You're firing on all cylinders. Everything is working. The mental, psychological, emotional, and physical. It's out of this world, and this is why it is so rare. I believe, at least in my case, I might be wrong, but some other people might have had it more than once or more than, whatever. But I can always speak for myself. It's very, very rare that you have that real connection where you just want to tear the clothes off of each other and you just can't get enough of each other, and you get exhausted. You're 4 or 5 hours into it, and you just even keep going, but you're exhausted. But then you want to keep going, and it's just crazy, right? I wish it was like this, for everybody. I wish it was like this all the time. But so this is really something amazing when that happens, when you click on all cylinders, right? What else do we want to talk about? Anyone have anything that you want to add? Or, I know there's only a couple of people tonight. I'm sure everybody's busy. So it all depends on the person. It all depends on how comfortable a person is sexually with themselves, and how comfortable they are with sex, and how comfortable they are with the person they're with. There's all these different variables. It's different from person to person. It's different from relationship to relationship, whether it's casual or serious or so in the middle. So, there's a lot of variables involved about sex. But I gotta tell you, for people that have not been in the business, sex really played, even though it looks like on the outside that it's 100% about sex. But a funny thing happens along the way. Because to be honest with you, like, yes, they're coming to have sex. There's no denying that. But if you take the full amount of time spent with the client, right, and with the escort, and take the sex part and subtract it from the entire, formula, right, or entire scene. So let's say the scene is this big, 1 hour, 2 hours, or whatever, and you take away the sex from that scene. Usually, to be honest with you, the sex is not even 50%. For the most part, the time spent on the act, if it's this big, I would say it's probably about this much. Sometimes a little bit less, sometimes a little bit more, but it's 50% or less. Because people like to communicate, people like to connect. A lot of the clients that I had, especially in Orange County, because I really, really focused on having that VIP client that was older, that was professional, that was married or attached, and there they have that mindset, right? It was very rare, and I know this for a fact, that this guy would come in, take his clothes off, and not say anything, and just go at it. 99%, I would say, well, let me just go 90% of the time, it was, you know, just communicating and talking, how you been, how you doing, and just that curiosity about another person, another human being. And because we have constraints of time for us and for the client, of course, everything had to be speeded up because these guys had to go back to work, right? They didn't have all the time in the world. And a lot of times, the escort would have to tell the client, we only have half an hour left or 15 minutes left or whatever it is. She actually had to remind the client that, oh, by the way, if you still want something, because at that point they had not done anything, we have 15 minutes left or 20 minutes or whatever it was. So to popular belief, it's not 100% about sex, right? And like I said, there's no set anything, because people are different, situations are different, energy is different, chemistry is different, the way we communicate are different from person to person to person. So there's no set thing, right? But yes, they came for sex, and yes, they wanted sex, and yes, they wanted to orgasm, and they wanted to feel better. And 99.9% of them were happy, and they went back to work, and they were thankful that they came, pun intended, and most of them did it over again and over and over and over again. We said about humans needing and wanting sex, of course. So yeah, and of course, if you get down to the bottom of sex, excuse me, as far as the specifics, as you all know, we basically sold girlfriend experience, or GFE, and that was basically kissing, oral, mostly from the escort on the client, and sometimes it was reciprocated from the client to the escort, and that was very rare. And also condom on, and then the actual act. And that was basically it. Really, it was very, very basic. There wasn't a porn movie. It was an hour, 2 hour porn movie. Sometimes maybe it looked like that, but it's just basically very basic. And the whole mission and goal is to come, get some, reach the climax, and just go back to your business. So it was very, very convenient, and it made it very easy for the clients to engage into this act and not complicate their life at all. It was money, a little bit of time, done. And that's why a lot of people used our service. And I'm sure they will always use escort services all around the world. So sex is very, very important. It's part of our DNA. It's the way we were built, the way we were wired. And people, of course, love it for the most part. There's a lot of things that are driven by sex. I often said most successful people, in the back of their mind, they know that once they have the money and success, and if they came with fame or not, whatever, in the back of their mind, trust me when I tell you, because I've spoken with a lot of people about this, they know that sex is also a part of the benefits. Just like you hear about rock stars, and they wanted to be, famous, and they wanted to be rich, but they also wanted to be liked, and they wanted a lot of sex, and they wanted, people to throw themselves at them and all this stuff. So there's a lot of decisions that a lot of people make and don't even know they're making it, but it's definitely connected to sex. If you think about certain things that we do, whether it's if you put makeup on, if you get your hair done, your nails done, smelling good, buy cologne, perfume, whatever. There's a lot of things that even though we're consciously not aware that okay, yeah, I want to look good for myself, I want to that's but also there's a subconscious on a subconscious level, I believe that a lot of it has to do with being attractive and presenting ourselves in an attractive way, just like flowers and bees and all this stuff in different colors. So there's element, I believe, at least that's my opinion. Hey, Jessica, good to see you. How are you, honey? I haven't heard from you in a while. Is everything okay? You all right? Oh, yeah. And at the right time, too. The perfect subject for you. How you been? I miss you. Oh, yeah. Okay, gotcha. I hear you. Um, how is everything? Oh, good, good. So I just finished the screenplay for the movie, and I'm in the process of shopping it around. So we'll see what happens. But I sent you the little outline I did a couple days ago, and so I sent it to you. I don't know if you saw it or not. That's basically that little simple outline. But of course, there's more involved in the movie. But yeah, did you see I put you in there too? One of the escorts. I don't know if you noticed or not. She had dark hair, but that was you. you know, that's funny. So, well, you know, so Jessica used to work with me and in Orange County, and we're still friends. That's right, we're still friends today. And let me ask Jessica about her sexual experience with clients and how it differs from that to, let's say, her boyfriend or significant other. Tell us, Jessica, how was the sex, if you were to rate it? How did you feel about having sex with a client versus, of course, there's emotions with your boyfriend and all this stuff, but oh, okay. So she said sex with a client is more of a fantasy. Did so was the satisfaction level for you, if you rate satisfaction level with a good lover from 1 to 10, let's say with your boyfriend, somebody you love or whatever, let's say it's a 9 or a 10, right? So with a client, what would be the satisfaction level from 1 to 10? Yeah, so she said the outfits and the getting dressed was part of the foreplay, for sure. And this is why we did that, right? To make the whole fantasy work for the client. And I guess for you too. So, what was the difference between sex with a client, satisfaction wise, for you, let's say on average, and sex, say, with your significant other, if you want to compare it from 1 to 10, 10 being the best and one sucks? It depends, but I would say it was about a 6 or 7. Right. Did you ever have, when we were in Orange County working, did you ever have a client that actually did it for you that was like a 9 or a 10? Mostly because of the time factor, correct. Yeah, there's definitely something about the time restraint. But did you have anyone, let's say, that booked for an hour or two? Oh, there were two. So you still remember after all these years. You see, they must have really struck a chord with you, right? So those two, where you guys had chemistry, or how were those two different than all the other clients? If you don't mind sharing that with us. It's very interesting. That's very interesting. After all these years, 4, 5, 6, 7 years, let's see, 2015, now, okay, 5 years. She still remembers there were not one, but two. So she remembers two of them. That's very interesting. Oh, yes, they had fun. Chemistry was there and it was comfortable. Okay. So it was more about the chemistry, and were they good lovers as well, aside from the chemistry? I'm guessing they were. Of course. Okay. Cool. Awesome. Um, so yeah, it's very, very interesting. It's a very interesting conversation, and I wanted to talk about it tonight because it's always the elephant in the room, and I'm going to suspect that everyone that, or most people that are interested and intrigued in my story and what happened, and Madam Suzanne and all this stuff, is probably has something to do with us wanting to, you know, maybe talk about sex, or we ourselves are interested in sex. Maybe it's subconscious. Maybe we have a fantasy about it. I guess I can go around and ask everybody. Anybody that wants to chime in, let me know why. What do you find interesting in Madam Suzanne and the story, right? It's a lot of sex, of course, but you notice, like, if you really look at my content, you don't really see a lot of, I don't really talk about a lot of raunchy stuff, or maybe I should. Maybe I should. Then maybe we'll have a million a million people in here. But I have some restriction with YouTube, the platform I'm on. Jessica said it's the taboo that makes it a great topic. Yeah, I just wonder, why is it still taboo? It's so natural, right? Like, just like we talk about food all the time. We have a Food Network, right? We have all these restaurant reviews and restaurant publications, and you know monthly you know newsletters and magazines and stuff. And for some reason, when it comes to sex, I just don't understand. I guess I understand a little bit of the taboo part, but living in a free world, in let's say the US or Netherlands, or any type of a free country, I just never understood why sex was so taboo, to be honest with you. Like, for me, it's just like you eat, you sleep, you have sex, right? At a certain age. So I just never understood why it is so taboo. And I believe in a perfect world it really shouldn't, because it's just like eating and sleeping to me. It's part of, our DNA. Is how we're wired. It's a natural thing. So, and believe me, if it wasn't so important, there will be no business like the one I had, and there will be no, millions of women providing that service and actually making a living and good living from it. So obviously, it's there and it's natural, and there's a need for it. Supply and demand. And in a lot of countries and societies where they are restrained by religion, culture, or both. Like, I don't want to, single out any countries, but like if you go to the Middle East, if you go to Iran, Afghanistan, Muslim countries, Saudi Arabia, they're very restrictive because, even in their religion, like the Muslim religion, which I studied when I was younger. I'm Christian. I'm not Muslim, but I had to study it. But I got to tell you, and it says, and it's one sided. It says the woman has to wear all these things or whatever, but the man can marry up to 4 women at the same time. So a man could have 4 women as their 4 wives at the same time. So the man gets to enjoy themselves with all these different women. At any moment, they can have, let's say they see somebody they like, they want to marry them, they'll have to drop one of the 4 and marry another one. So divorce is accepted. However, if a woman gets divorced, then it's like shame on her and nobody wants to touch her. She's divorced. She's like, you know, like taboo. Don't touch her. So there's a lot of cultural thing. There's a lot of male machismo bullshit, and it's just a different subject. But even in the point I was trying to make is even in those restrictive societies, they do still put it in their law or in their religion that they could still practice their sexual desires and obsessions, right? And that's the point I was trying to make. Jessica said there are so many different areas that cover sex as a major part, whether it be religion, politics, or family structure. And because these touchy subjects hold sex of large importance. Yeah, I guess. I just wish that everybody was open-minded and just go with your nature, and it's okay. There's nothing wrong with you wanting to do a certain act that you enjoy. And if your other person that's you with is down with that and they're okay with it, I don't see anything wrong between 2 consenting adults both enjoying each other's company and doing whatever it is that that they both enjoy sexually. See, I don't see anything wrong with that. There's a lot of people that feel that anal is taboo, or being tied up is crazy, or some other crazy stuff, right? But to me, I guess I'm very liberal. To each his own. I believe in freedom of expression, freedom of, as long as you're not hurting anybody and they're willing participants. You're not making anybody do anything you don't want to do. Even when we get paid, you guys heard me say this a long time and many times. I always say I never made anybody do anything they don't want to do. Jessica said it makes it that much more difficult to get people to not have an opinion of one extreme or the other. So what do you mean by that? It makes it that much more difficult to get people to not have an opinion of one extreme or the other. Because of the restrictive society, you mean, and because of the taboo attached to sex, that you don't feel comfortable speaking your... Okay, so let me reread this. There are so many different areas that cover sex as a major part, whether it be religion, politics, or family structure. And because these touchy subjects hold sex of a large importance, it makes it that much more difficult to get people to not have. Okay, I get that. I understand. Well, let me ask you this, Jess. Do you feel restricted to speak about your sexual appetite and desires when you feel like it? Do you not say something because of that particular taboo that you're talking about, that touchy subject? Does it restrict you in your daily life? And of course, it depends on who you talk to. Yeah, so that's crazy. That's crazy. You know, like, uh, so, like, let's say take the word slut, okay? We're going to talk about this for a second. This came to mind. So in the context, like, I like to talk a lot of smack during sex, right? It turns me on, and I like to turn my partner on. It's just fun, you know? So the word slut, I only use it in the context when in the middle of having sex. And and it just makes it a lot more fun, especially as long as my partner is okay with it, and most of the time they are. Now, take that out of that context and outside the bedroom or whatever we're having sex. Now, slut becomes a very negative word, right? Because society would call somebody a slut if they sleep around. Society does not like girls that love sex. Men, that's a different story. Well, it's a double standard, right? But there's a lot of double standards. I got to tell you, Jessica, there's a lot of double standards, and I've been there. they're on the receiving end of it, where women are treated. I'll give you an example: the sugar daddy thing, right? I don't know if you saw the articles that were written about me, right? And I was all over the news in San Diego because some lady was giving me cash, and I was going to get in trouble because she just was giving me cash. And now, and I've read I wrote about this in my book. It's called the chapter in my first book, Madam Suzanne. It's called Mr. Casanova, right? Because that's what they called me in the news. Now, you go to certain areas and all you see is sugar babies, but it's okay. I was watching Netflix the other day, and there's this expert, and she teaches women how to become a good, successful sugar baby. She is on TV teaching women how to get guys to pay for them as a sponsor or a sugar daddy. And that's okay. I have one woman giving me money, and I did not trick her. I did not make her. I did not force her. She was just handing it out. And now I was going to get in trouble, right? Of course, they never charged me because I didn't do anything. And it was just a scorned woman that I didn't want to talk to her anymore. I was moving to Orange County, and I was getting busy, and I'm like, I can't really talk to you every day like usual. So, women scorned, right? But there's definitely double standards in society, like you're talking about. However, at the same time, there's a double standard when it comes to other things. So you're right. Most guys, they're studs. If a guy, he boasts about it, oh yeah, he's got 15 girlfriends, he's having sex with all of them, whatever, he's a stud, right? But a woman is a slut, even if she's seeing two guys, right? Three guys. See, I don't think that way, obviously. Maybe I'm a little different because I've been in the business for so long. To me, sex is just natural and normal. I don't really look at it like, oh, this is a slut or whatever. Hey, listen, if you enjoy sex, go for it. It is a double standard, but outside of Orange County, sugar babies aren't really looked at in a good light either. I don't know. I mean, to be honest with you, I've met a lot of them, not just in Orange County, all over. I've met a lot of them in Hawaii. I met a ton of them in Vegas. And these are people that I didn't necessarily work with, right? Just people that's what they do, right? And I got to tell you, they're having a great life. They're having a good time. They don't have to work. They're living, got a beautiful home, cars, everything is paid for. They get to travel on private jets, whatever. They do whatever they want. And nobody even cares. And a lot of people know. They don't care. Honestly. And I think the new generation here, Jessica, you're in a different generation. Of course, I'm a lot older than you. I'm in a different generation. But I think today's generation, I call it the Kardashian effect. I don't really think that they look down upon, I see all these younger women, and that's what they're striving for. They like older men. Even with myself personally, I can speak for myself. Even the last few years in Orange County, when I had money and I was driving nice cars and everything, right? I got to tell you, I got hit on so many times by young. I'm like, how old are you? We're talking. I'm like, I was like 50 something, 51, 52, 53, and they'll just come up and start talking to me. I'm like, it's like it's younger than my kid. My kid is in her 30s now, but I mean, I've seen women who are like 20, 21, 19. I'm like, and even in Vegas, I used to get hit on all the time at the casinos, right? Young. I'm like, how old are you? Let me see your ID. I mean, I couldn't believe it. It's like a lot of them told me, like, I would rather be with an older man that knows how to take care of the woman and knows how to talk to the woman and they all would tell me that they're sick and tired of younger boys. They want a real man, right? But really, what that really means is that they really want money. Okay, they would not have come up to me if I wasn't dressed nice and I wasn't driving a nice car. I can guarantee you that. I'm not that freaking great, and I'm not that, I'm not Brad Pitt, okay? So, I know it is what it is, but it's just, I really think the society's perception about that point has changed. Jessica said, "Why do you think my claws are firmly clamped into my man? He is 54, looks 40, and has a great bank account and generous. Cha-ching! You see? So I'm sure if you keep everything, and I'm not picking on you, right, Jess? But if you keep everything the same, right, and take the bank account away, would you still be there? You don't have to answer, you know what? Yes, and I'm getting older. Okay. So if he, God forbid a million times, goes broke tomorrow, you still be there? Okay. All right. That's a good answer. You gotta cover your ass just in case he finds this video. Oh my God, it's so funny. Well, it looks like it's just you and me now. Good, we can just talk, you and me. So I've been wanting to call you, but I know you're busy, so I didn't really call you. I haven't really called you. I would definitely be there, but the sharks are circling. Yeah, there's always sharks in those waters, boy. There's always sharks in those waters, even when there's no blood nowadays. You know, back in the day, you had to have some blood for the sharks to pay attention. Nowadays, especially with the economy the way it is, and everybody's out of work and everybody's struggling. Yeah, oh yeah. So yeah, keep a close eye on that. But anyway, so yeah, so sex is one of those things that obviously I'm very liberal, and I feel it should be legal what we did, and it should be. I really admire Europe, right? Like Amsterdam and even Paris. I remember I was in Paris in '94, and I remember the first time. I mean, I've been there since, but the first time I was there was '94. I remember seeing went out to a nightclub, and I saw a woman walking down the street with a see-through top, like a black mesh see-through top, and and she had nothing on. Beautiful, beautiful boobs, of course, and she had nothing else on, right? No bra or anything, and you could see everything. It was just she might as well have not had anything on. And I got to tell you, nobody. I think I was the only one looking at it. Nobody was even paying attention. Nobody's in. It's very normal. And this is in 1994, 26 years ago. That lady today walks in, Fashion Island or South Coast Plaza or Beverly Hills or whatever, right? She'll probably get the cops called on her by some lunatic or some conservative. It's crazy. It's crazy. But so, anyways, that's life. What are we gonna do? So yeah, I'm very, very excited, Jess, about the movie. I finished actually the script because it's been in my mind for years now. I finished the script and it came really it like was the flow was unbelievable. I couldn't believe it how easy it was. I knew exactly what I wanted to do, and I finished it in 3 days. I've never written I've actually written one movie script before when I was on vacation, but I didn't even know how to properly format it, right? But I had to learn how to. Of course, I taught myself how to format it properly, and it in just 3 days. And of course, I made some corrections since then, but. It's really, really, it's going to be really, really good. It's a really good story. And what I did was I split, and I can tell you this, I split Gino and Madam Suzanne. And that's how I really should have done it to begin with, right? Where Gino works for Madam Suzanne, and Madam Suzanne is the Phantom, right? And everything that Madam Suzanne does throughout the movie is from a POV standpoint. So you never really see her, right? You hear her with talking to the client with a really nice voice, with a voice change and all that, but you never really see her. And the reveal at the end, okay, and I don't want to spoil it for you, but we could talk, you and I, in between you and I, but I could tell you, but the reveal is all the way towards the end, and it's really cool, right? There's that element of surprise, and who's they're thinking, is it my ex, is it Kelly down Newport, is it Nikki, is it you, is it, they don't know, you know what I mean? Yeah, there's a twist at the end, and they don't know. You are doing it great, doing great, and you know you are doing it the right way because it's hard. If it were easy, it would be wrong. You know what? Just sometimes I'm telling you because I'm broke and I'm not used to it. This is the first time I've been broke since I was 16, right? This is 41 years later. I never thought I'd be broke, right? And sometimes I'll be honest with you, it's tough. It's not easy. My mind want to go sideways and make a sharp left turn. Then I think about all the stuff I've been through the last few years. I'm like, no, man, it's not even worth it. It really isn't, you know. So I'm just plugging away. It's only been 7 months, you know. So I'm just, well, it's going to be 8 months here pretty soon. On the 21st, it'll be 8 months. So I'm just plugging away. I do it every day. I try to promote. You know, I just keep going. I just gotta. It just takes one person. I gotta meet that one person that's gonna change everything, and that one person is gonna believe in the projects and is able to be in the right position and right place to do it. Somebody that's done it before, of course. You know, wouldn't it be great to meet like a Martin Scorsese or James Cameron or even Tyler Perry. I'm trying to contact all these people. So it's not easy to get to these people, but I try different things and we'll see what happens. You know. But anyways, yeah, let's talk sometime. I miss you, and I know you're doing really good. I'm proud of you, going to school and doing what you need to do. I'm very, very proud of you. You're doing a good job. So call me whenever. Yeah, the important things, your health and your support system. Yeah, I don't have much of the latter. I do have my health, and thank God. And as far as support, really, with the exception of somebody like you, and then I talk to you every once in a while, and then I have my mom. That's it, really. You know, um, and there isn't that many people that I really trust, and I don't have a lot of people in my circle of trust. That's right. That's right. Anyways, um, okay. So I guess we'll wrap it up. Thank you so much for stopping by. I love you and I miss you. Call me anytime, and I'll keep you updated on what's going on. Yeah, but you have your man and you have your kids, right? That's important. Okay, love. Okay, so everybody, thank you so much. I love you guys. Take care. Stay healthy. Stay happy. And if you haven't found your happiness, please look within. It is in there. Find your own happiness. It's different from person to person. So I will see you next week, 6 p.m. on Wednesday, Pacific Standard Time. And we'll pick a nice, healthy subject, a nice, fun subject, and